lives of many students. Although working with inner city students was something I was very passionate about, I was afraid I would not be adequate enough to do so, and my efforts would not be enough because of the challenges these kids were up against. By thinking such things, I was consciously writing these kids off as lost causes. In actuality, my year has proven that these students are far from lost causes, and anything I had to offer was more than enough. These students also showed me, regardless of how small you think the deed you're doing is, those deeds made life-changing impacts. It may not have been obvious throughout the year, through the tears and the late nights, but when you look back, it's clear that someone's life was different because you were there. I served at JHS 13 in East Harlem. We were a new partnership, and at the beginning of the year, we received a lot of resistance from the students. They didn't know who we were and associated us with just running an after-school program. One specific student, Ashley, gave me a really hard time. She always felt the need to tell me that she hated city air, it was boring, and she would never join. I still tried to convince her from time to time, but she was very set in her ways. A few weeks into the school year, we started our literacy tutoring program, and our biggest fan, Ashley, was placed in my group. My first instinct told me I was going to struggle with her. It was the opposite. Ashley needed a lot of help in literacy, and as soon as our journey began, we learned a lot from one another. There were many times that the rest of the group was ahead of her and understood concepts a lot easier than she did. There were also times where the rest of the group was at an all-out war with one another, and she remained on task. Through all these tribulations, Ashley always remained focused and open to trying new ideas. She never missed a day of tutoring, never had to be talked to about her behavior, and her scores were increasing, yet when the other students were graduating out of the program, she was still not close to being finished. The other students made fun of her for still being in the program with me, but that did not deter her. Before our second session began, I realized I was at a standstill with Ashley. The curriculum was not enough to help her, and I soon realized I needed to collaborate with my team and staff members who shared best practices with me. We also came up with a system where Ashley could transfer what she was learning with me into her other classes. 6 months after we began our journey, Ashley graduated out of the literacy tutoring program. She went from a 20% to an 80% ability to read multisyllabic words. Woo! And along the way, she also joined the year's after-school program without any encouragement from the core members. She greeted the team every morning, was glued to my side during her lunch period, and was the first student in after-school a lot of the time. I cannot emphasize enough how proud I am of her and how much I learned from her. On days I was exhausted and overwhelmed, Ashley was my driving force. On days that I questioned my impact, Ashley was proof that I was making a difference. This was evident on days that I returned from being out of school for a meeting or if I was sick. Ashley was not happy with me. It was obvious that she missed me. I was not just a literacy coach to Ashley. I was a mentor, and in some ways a lot like a big sister. Ashley is not the only student we work with. Many of you have a student like Ashley and a story like mine. And this is how I know we all made a substantial difference this year. Graduation is only the beginning. As we graduate from city year and move forward, we must not forget the work we did this year and the children we worked with. We may never work with these specific students again or in education, but we cannot ignore the fact that there is a problem with education, especially in inner